mean that in the nicest
Why
way.
do you think a lot of pastors are overweight?
You can't start it like that.
Well, why not? With Chandra,
You can't do
with
that.
gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. Why do you think a lot of pastors are overweight?
Okay, first where did you get the 7 deadly sins from? We're not Catholic.
It's in the Bible. It says
We're Pentecostal.
gluttons and drunkards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Cliff and Chandra here from Not Gospel Studios. Body image in Christianity. Is body image supposed to be something that we care about? Why does it seem like so many leaders may struggle with weight? We're going to dive into these issues and talk about it today. This is Not Gospel. I talk about this all the time, like the 10 Commandments, right? It says honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. And yet that seems like people would be totally okay with doing something on the Sabbath, but they wouldn't be okay with murdering somebody or lying. It seems like for a lot of people, there's flexibility in the things that God thinks is bad. And I'm like, with gluttony being one of the things that they line right up in there with sexual immorality and idolatry and drunkenness, it's like, why do you think a lot of pastors are overweight?
Okay, first, I think there's a gradation.
Okay.
What's overweight to you might not be overweight to God. Like when babies come out, they can be fat little roly-polies. Do you think God's mad at them like, oh, that glutton baby?
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
you fat shaming newborns now all of a sudden.
No, you are.
No. Baby fat is different than growing up and just eating to excess all the time.
Well, that's a whole
I'm not
nother
saying
thing.
well, that's gluttony.
No, let's get into
Eating to excess is to excess is
Okay,
gluttony.
eating to excess
I'm not
is gluttony,
saying
but
being
just because
overweight.
someone's fat doesn't mean they're a
Right.
glutton.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of reasons why someone can be overweight. There are thyroid issues. There's all kinds of stuff.
Well, what I was going to say about pastors, I would say most of them, it's a lifestyle thing. They're not in the gym all the time. They're going to people's houses,
Right,
and
okay.
communion over the dinner table.
So see, I was
Yeah.
as a pastor's kid, I was assuming that it's like we go to the church potluck, we overeat because we want to try everything. There's 3 different types of dumplings because 60 women brought things to the potluck. So you try everything. You have 4 plates, and you get used to that kind of lifestyle. So then in your personal life, when you're not going to potlucks, you're going to the Golden Corral. I feel like the Golden Corral is the modern day tent revival.
Does anybody know what the Golden Corral is outside of us?
Oh, I think they're pretty aware of what the human feed trough is.
It's a buffet.
It's a buffet with chocolate fountain, and if you get there at 3:30, you can pay the lunch price, and at 4:00 they set out the steaks.
Yeah, that's all true.
It basically looks like a retirement home in a Golden Corral if you go in there. If you go in there and you're between ages 40 and 20, you're gonna get some looks like you don't belong in here, kid. I'm just being real.
Okay. But, I think it's every individual has their own health struggles.
Yes.
And then also the lifestyle choices of, they're not running and joining the gym every day. But it doesn't mean
More
I think
sedentary lifestyle.
yeah, it's a sedentary lifestyle, I think, more so than they're just overeating all the time. Because I think we as humans live differently than we used to. You used to
That's
have to
true.
walk 2 miles to get water. We don't do that anymore. You don't have to farm to provide for your family and then preach on Sunday.
So in the original Christians, I would imagine they were pretty lean. Jesus and the disciples and apostles.
Well, they were out fishing
because
and
they were
picking
out
corn in the field.
working and doing
Yeah.
like manual labor, but also walking everywhere, like you said, which is why
Yeah.
washing feet was such a big deal in the Bible, because your feet were gross. They would even take baths and their feet would be dirty. Like they would rinse off from here down, their feet, all the dirt would wash down to their feet.
We had a foot washing at your church once, and your mom was like, "Do you want to join in?" And I'm like, "No, I do not, Connie."
I washed my dad's feet in that foot washing.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. The reason why she said "oh no" is because
I don't like
my
feet.
dad has ugly feet and really thick old man toenails,
Oh.
and I have his feet.
Oh.
Yes, so I have hobbit feet.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Which is
Let's
why
go on.
I always wear socks when Chandra comes over.
Okay, so I bet some people are like, "What is a foot washing?"
A foot washing.
Like even Christians from other denominations.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Foot washing is washing of feet was something that the servants would do for guests of a house. They would wash their feet because they walked everywhere in sandals. So they'd have the servants wash the guests' feet. That was a big deal. Well, this is what Jesus did for the disciples within hours of it was like just a day. Was it the day before he was going to be the night before he was going to be taken and tried and crucified? So he washed all the disciples' feet,
and they were like, "No, you don't do this for us." And
Yes.
he was like, "Yes, I do."
Yes, I do. Yeah. And he was demonstrating to them the proper way to lead. You lead by being a servant, and by meeting the needs of your followers.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a
But that
beautiful
doesn't mean I want to
thing.
wash anybody's feet.
Right, exactly. Chandra's like, that's beautiful, and I'm so glad Jesus did it, so I never have to.
No, I'm going to take it as a metaphor.
We got on this topic because we recently talked about Brendan Fraser and the whale, and it got us thinking, as in natural conversation, we got us thinking about the Christian sort of response to obesity and weight gain and self-image and body image and all this stuff in being a Christian.
Well, I know being overweight myself, I know it's awkward to talk about, especially with, like, to me, I think of you as a skinny person, even though you think you're fat. But to me, you're still a skinny person.
I know I'm fat. I'm a specific type of fat. It's
You're
called
not.
skinny fat. It's a literal body type.
But anyway.
Don't you shame me.
As a larger person, I have been treated with the attitude of, it's hard to say, like, people that do go to the gym a lot and
Yes.
maybe are more naturally thin are like, well, you know, I'm better than you. And I know that sounds bad because they're Christians and Christians shouldn't put themselves in a hierarchy with other Christians.
Right.
But I think sometimes being fat puts you down on a totem pole because they're like, oh, well, look at her.
Well, that's
must be
that's
in sin all the
absolutely
time.
true. Human beings are shallow, and we are image oriented. For instance, I know the friends that I hang out with, my intelligence
I
hasn't.
just got really uncomfortable.
Well, my intelligence hasn't decreased. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Do you need a blanket? I can
To
increase your
cover my
comfort.
fat?
No, because it's soft and squishy and cuddly. The blankie. I got really soft blankets.
Really hot. Okay, go on.
In my friend circle, I've noticed in my life when in the seasons where I'd be going to the gym and I'd be really fit, tanned up, all the stuff, whatever, because you're working outside and all this kind of stuff. When I would have conversations with them, there would be more respect for what I had to say than if I had,
Because you looked healthy.
slacked off, because they're like, this person's healthy, they got it all together. I'm gonna listen to what they have to say. It's like body image oriented. When in reality, there may have been nothing more intelligent or better or more purpose driven with what I was saying than something I'd say when I was a few pounds overweight. So there is truth to what you're saying, in that you're going to get more respect even in what you're saying, regardless of how smart or dumb you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, just by, you can feel that respect sometimes just by being in better health. It's not fair, but I do respect disciplines. Here's where I fall in. Like, I know how hard some people work to not just be thin, like you said, having eating disorders and stuff, but to be healthy, like going to the gym and stuff. I know I had a conversation with my brother the other day. I was wearing some shirt and he's like, "You're looking good," a compliment. I was like, "I appreciate it, man." It's like, it's all an illusion. It's just tight t-shirts. And he says like, "No, you've always had good looking arms. Like, your arms have always looked good." Like, and I do have, like, we call them the big triceps or whatever muscles.
Travis says those.
Yeah. I call him.
My husband.
I call him Conan the Barbarian muscles, because he's holding the sword like this. He's got the big whatever. But he doesn't realize that I used to sit and just do not like 100+ push-ups every single day for a couple of years when I was trying to get in shape, and that builds particular muscles that you know what I'm saying. And I didn't always have good looking arms. So I understand the work it takes to do certain things. Like, if you want a really good looking butt, that's why that's all over the place now, is all these butt exercises and all that stuff.
If someone wants to put themselves in the public eye as a Christian, like a pastor,
Yes.
do you think they should focus more on the physical?
I think,
like, purposely to be a better witness to
I think
people?
they purposely should be healthy, try to be healthy.
Yeah.
And I had a encounter with this that I didn't expect. There was a special pastor, guest speaker, come to lead a revival at our church over a weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I didn't know him, or whatever. And I don't know who he is now. I can't remember who he was, but he showed up and he was a heavier, very heavy, like obese, like a very, very large man, struggling to walk up the steps to the podium and everything. But then when he's speaking, he was so anointed. I was like, so dynamic. I was like, this is incredible. And then I had this wrestling, and like I was like, how can somebody be in that bad of health and understand that it's not, it almost felt like disrespect to the temple that God gave him at that point. Like, how can he be in that bad of health and be so anointed?
Yeah.
And then after the service, Dad was inviting him out to eat, and he said, and he looked at Dad and said, "I appreciate it, Pastor, so much." He's like, "And my wife will love to go with you, but I got he was on like a Slim Fast thing. He's like, I got this shake that I take as a meal replacement. It's not healthy for me. I'm trying to lose some weight." He's conscious of it, and he's trying to get in better health. And part of me feels like, if you don't have some kind of issue, like a thyroid or things like that, and the other, part of me does feel like you're going to be conscious of the temple in that respect to one degree or another, especially if you're anointed heavily by God. Like, I feel like he's going to, like we've talked about, he's going to honor those disciplines and sacrifices.
Okay.
And I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like when you said there was a larger pastor that had the anointing, like immediately someone came to my mind who was not just obese, but like I would say morbidly obese. And I had that situation with him. Like, he was just a wonderful person. Like, you could tell he had the right kind of character. Like, he was a good man.
Yeah.
And did I judge him because of his weight? I know okay, that's another thing I want to address.
Uh-oh.
Like,
By the way, Chandra and I have been friends for like nigh on 30 years, so.
So it's still an awkward conversation, but we can have it. But like, as a larger person, am I looking at an even larger person and judging them? And it does happen. I know that's horrible. So I can imagine how skinnier people would judge me. So
Well, and you mentioned that in The Whale. You said, you're going to have all kinds of conflicting thoughts in your head by watching that movie because everybody's situation is different. So you're saying that you would look at somebody else. It's like,
I can be judgmental about something that I have a problem with.
And so then you're aware of, if you have that, it makes you aware of somebody else who's in a more typical body type and would look at you and say this, that, and the other or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know that I fall into some class, like they say dad bod type stuff or whatever kind of thing. That like
You don't have a dad bod.
but I'm saying I'm accepting that. I don't look like I used to do when I was 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
And part of me feels like that's good. Like, I don't want to look like I shop at Baby Gap for my t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's to me, it's not even about the body image. It's literally about the health. To me, it's like, you can be whatever shape, but if you're conscious about trying to make good decisions on the daily, whether or not you always succeed or not, because I don't. Before we did this podcast, I was like, I'm going to eat me some Oreos. You know, like, it is what it is.
Well, when you said it was about the health, I thought of a skinny pastor that I know, and he does not look healthy. Like, he looks pale and very thin and
emaciated.
Yeah, but also like he's been reading a book for 20 years, which he probably has.
He's a pastor. He's been reading one book in particular.
I know.
This is what the Bible does to you.
But
it turns you into a vampire.
But it looked like he might be like have a disease or something just because he was that thin.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so you can definitely be on the other end of the spectrum.
Oh,
of not healthy.
There's some images of me where I got on like a really hard, like low calorie diet, like massive, because I was trying to cut out some weight really fast. And I did. I lost 25 pounds in 30 days or something crazy. Like, it was nuts. It was that fast.
When was this?
Several years back. We were doing red carpets and stuff. It was right around that time. Is when I went through that season where my hair was shaved really short, like, and I was wearing Jordans and all this kind of stuff all the time. Weirdo. Anyways,
talk about image.
yeah. I had some pictures where I was like, good Lord, that guy's face is so, and it was me. It was like so thin and so, to look at. So I definitely think you can go in the opposite end of it. Obviously you can. You've got models that are like eating toilet paper and stuff like that. And I'm being serious. Yeah. They'll stuff like tissue paper down their, like chew on it and down their throat so it fills their stomach so they don't eat that much. And then they wind up having serious medical issues.
Wouldn't that paper have calories also?
Like, hardly any.
I've heard about them living on, coffee, cigarettes, and ice chips and stuff, but I didn't know about toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, tissue paper, I go.
That's crazy.
I personally think that the body is the temple, is the vessel that is carrying your soul. And I disagree with using that to diminish the utility of the body. Like to be like, who cares about this body? My soul is who I am. I disagree with that ideology.
I don't think you should abuse it in any way.
Yeah. To me, I feel like people have to be body conscious, not because, even though I don't agree with it and think it's right, there is something to be said if we know people are shallow and we know people are going to put more importance and significance on what you say.
Yeah.
If you are presented in a certain way. There is some relevance to that.
Well, and then another thing around the subject of sin and stuff is if someone has to quit drugs or alcohol, that's something you can do cold turkey. Yeah. With food, that's not even a possibility.
You have to figure out a new relationship with food, as they say.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
So, and even
how weird is that? Do you think in Jesus' day they had a relationship with food?
Well, yeah. They ate.
Yeah, but I shower. I don't have a relationship with my showers.
I'm sure they were on a more Mediterranean diet.
I should use it totally different. What the heck?
I'm sure they ate a lot of fish and olive oil and stuff. So,
okay, so if you're talking about,
they walked a lot.
If you're talking about in the respect of that they celebrate with food and that they all this kind of stuff, then yes, there is this sort of relationship with food versus other activities.
Well, I think if you live in a culture that is because you have to walk to water, you have to walk to go to the bathroom, you have to walk to farm, and you have that lifestyle, and you're fat, they're probably, I would say, more of a glutton issue than someone who doesn't have to live an active lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, because you're just not burning the calories.
Yeah.
Well, I was going somewhere before. I was saying
I'm sorry.
something.
You were saying we talked about our relationship with food, and you said yes.
Oh, I was talking about drug addicts can just drop it cold turkey, but people who
you have to reinvent your diet, you have to, and that's why there's a gazillion different diets, and people are like, find what works for you. But that's where the relationship with food comes in, because people eat their emotions, or like, I'm eating my feelings. It's like, I'm sad today, I'm going to eat donuts. Yeah, it's like,
and there's people who have an unhealthy relationship with food, but they're also thin because they either work out a lot and stuff like that. Like, you can overeat and still be pretty skinny. Like, you can be a skinny glutton.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, some people have those exercise disorders.
You laughed
They'll
at
walk for 6 hours on a treadmill and stuff.
You laughed at me, but my body type's what's called skinny fat, where you are thin-ish, but you carry all of your excess weight right here in the section that's the most aggravating. I think I'm just fat?
No, that's in me.
Oh, I think you're just fat. I was like, don't you shame me. I'm trying. And so by that body type, there's all these different things, different schedules you could get on. Like, one of them is the intermittent fasting, where it's like you eat one day for 24 hours and then you don't eat for 24 hours and then eat and don't eat.
What do you think about Christians that fast to lose weight?
It's not fasting. Automatic. I've already thought this because I deal with this. I'm a Christian, and I'm like, well, I could call it a fast and just I lose a little weight.
You don't think you'll also get the spiritual benefit of it?
No, I think it's a load of crap.
You think you can only do the spiritual benefit?
I think hopefully just the like saying follows. Swear words, it is not the word; it is the intent of the heart. If I can call you an idiot with as much ferocity as somebody says the F-bomb, and it's still. Like, I'm wanting to murder you with my words, and I call you stupid dummy. You know, I feel the same thing with a fast. Oh, yeah, man, I overate today. I'll just fast tomorrow. It's like, you're not kidding. You're not kidding me. They're sure as heck not kidding God. I mean, come on. And I've had that discussion with other people.
I wish losing weight was as easy as gaining weight was, because you can eat really well for a period of time, and then if you just have a bender, it's all back again.
Well, and that's why I do feel like part of the respect that people give people who are like in shape and stuff, some of it is incredibly shallow, yes. Yeah. But I do think there is another level of it that is reasonable to give some respect because, like you said, it's hard.
Yeah.
You have to work hard to be in shape. Chris Pratt had to work his butt off
Yeah.
to get in shape for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he was always someone that had more of a pudgy frame,
Yes.
and then he got beefed up.
And Sophia Loren, I think is how you say her last name, was a model, French model from the 60s or something like that. And she was always like a curvy model in that respect. And you and I may disagree on what that means, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she was a more curvy model, and they always asked her if she always felt the need to lose weight or whatever. And she said, there's a quote she has, like, I enjoy pasta and wine too much to be a size 0. She's like, I'll never be a size 0 because I like eating pasta and drinking wine. So I do recognize the kind of sacrifice somebody has to make. There are vices and indulgences you got to get rid of. You know, people talk about, I think Chris Pratt talked about how I think he may have drank, he was a kind of a, every now and again, a beer guy or whatever like that, completely cut alcohol out of his diet because that's like the first empty calories that you can just get rid of, and people just shed weight when they just quit drinking alcohol completely. And then there's all the foods that you love, like that are high in carbs, like pizza and blah, blah, blah. And the non-dairy diets, that kills me. If I were to try a non-dairy diet, it's like, I love cheese. I like milk. I like ice cream. Like, I would rather give up all sweets and still be able to eat cheese.
I could give up dairy, but it wouldn't be my first choice. I could give up all meat. I could be a vegetarian easier than I could be like a Atkins diet.
Well, the dairy thing is the big thing because it has, the moment people cut dairy out of their diet, like, they see less inflammation in their joints and they feel better. Their gut feels a little better. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
But I don't know that I could ever do it.
Well, about image and stuff, I think as a Christian, while we might register someone's weight, we should always look at it with grace because we don't know their personal issues, whether they do have those biological issues or mental issues even.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think it's one of those things that God just has to deal with people on.
Yeah. If you like this clip from the Not Gospel Studios YouTube channel, don't forget to share. Click on one of the other links and videos. You can find them here and subscribe. I think it's down here. Tell your friends about us. Tell them that it's healthy, that it's vegan, and all of those things. Keep being awesome because that's how God made you.